sure you want the rest of it?
Dirty Harry Minute. Dirty Harry Minute. Dirty Harry Minute Podcast. Dirty Harry Minute Podcast.
Every penny's worth.
Welcome back to Dirty Harry Minute, the only podcast in the world to review every minute of that 1971 Warner Brothers classic, Dirty Harry. I'm one of your hosts, John, and as ever, I'm joined with usual co-host, Trent.
Hello.
And our third co-host missing, Trent, Tim.
He is, and we've just had confirmation that his wife has just given birth to a baby. Not to a kidney stone or anything like that, but yes, so congratulations to Tim and Susie.
Yes.
Exciting news. We've been waiting for, I think, 24 hours now to see what the outcome was because there was a bit of radio silence, so very exciting.
And what gender is it?
I don't know.
So it's either a Harriet or a Harold, if it's a boy, after Dirty Harry, I'm assuming. And maybe we'll get to see Tim in maybe 18 years or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And today we are joined by two lovely guests. First, our recurring guest, Evelyn. Welcome back.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
You excited?
Yes, very excited. I love this movie.
Every minute you come in, you have to talk about Scorpio, this maniacal killer.
Why do I have to talk about Scorpio?
That's just the way it's ended up.
Oh yeah, I have had a lot of Scorpio moments, haven't I?
You have?
And this is a particular delicious moment with Scorpio. So I'm very much looking forward to dissecting it with you all.
And we are joined by newcomer Ange Lavoipierre. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks very much for joining us out of your busy comedy schedule.
Thanks for bullying me into watching this film, which turns out I very much enjoyed.
And we are joined remotely by friend and also performer, actor. We have Jane Watt.
Yes, we do. Hey, team.
Now, have you seen this movie? Let's be honest. Any of it before?
What would be the appropriate answer? Because the real answer is no. Whoops. It's allowed. I did diligently watch my minute, though.
Thank you.
Over and over again. So I have some serious themes to discuss.
Thank you very much. We, of course, are talking about minute 68. The minute begins with a close-up of Scorpio's panic-filled face and ends with a nude woman being pulled out of a hole in the ground. What did you think of this minute, Ange?
Well, it's kind of like it wasn't a bad minute for Jane to come in on because it's kind of there's a lot going on here, right? In particular, I think I was really blown away by that shot where they zoom out and they really take their sweet time with it. Like, it takes forever and you kind of wonder how much of the budget went on that one moment. But you're grateful for it as well. I think it's kind of emblematic of a lot of the things, the thing that I found really surprising about the film, because it feels schlocky and cliched in so many ways. But I think that's only because it has been mimicked and imitated so much that it formed all the tropes in this genre. And watching it, I think it's a really, the experience of watching it now from 2019 is you see a film that's blended with all these schlocky moments and like what feel like cliche moments, and then these very like arty, very well directed, very beautiful moments, and that is one of them. There's like zooming backwards.
You agree, Jane? Your thoughts?
I do indeed. I was thrilled by that, the big zoom out. I also have that thing where, like, I realise now in the world that drones exist where everyone's got a fucking drone and, like, anyone can create those kinds of things, is that thinking of the era when they didn't exist and that people were actually doing these with helicopters, and that I have just 1,000 times more respect when thinking about the fact that an entire helicopter was involved to create that shot. Which is funny because I saw on a note somewhere that it said that shot, am I allowed to say this, that the shot was in fact filmed backwards?
Yes, that's right, in reverse, yeah.
The helicopter came out and zoomed in, and when I read that, I rewatched the scene, and you can actually see that his jacket and his pants are actually flapping because of the proximity of the helicopter and the wind.
Yeah, very.
And I was like, oh!
But yeah, the wind kind of adds to it, doesn't it? I mean, it makes it even more terrifying in a weird way. I don't know why.
I did think because as said, I didn't watch the film, but so this guy is in a field, clearly a sports field, and he's having a hard time, but he is very strange. I don't know anything about this character, but I don't find him scary at all. He was making strange noises, and like he kind of reminded me like the Hamburglar for some reason.
Rabble, rabble, yeah.
Oh my god, yes.
I don't know.
Rubble, rubble.
He's got like a high-pitched little voice. I was like, relax, bro.
He just needs the eye mask and the stripy outfit.
Yeah. I can't remember. Is he wearing a turtleneck shirt? Yeah.
the
Seriously.
turtleneck.
And he's got like a round face. I was like, bro, you're from the 90s?
Now, for those more literate amongst us, does anyone buy or like the Archangel Michael, like St. George, and that he's slaying the dragon from that shot, or is that overreaching a bit there?
Oh.
Interesting.
St. Harry.
Because he's like stepping on his leg and kind of bearing over the top of him, and the St. George is stepping on the dragon's neck. Is that a thing? Is that a thing that you see?
That's right, and of course he's a Scorpio. The character is a scorpion. He's some sort of serpent.
Oh.
Do you like that, Evelyn?
Reptile, insect.
Yeah.
I love this moment mostly because it's that moment in the film where Harry's got the killer.
Mm.
And that's why that sweeping shot, it's such a big deal, because it's that moment where he's like, I've got him.
What I love about this film and watching Clint Eastwood is that literally everything else has to work like double, triple overtime to emote because his face refuses to. So like this shot is like it is quite emotive because you kind of like you really get the stakes and it has this kind of like classical art quality. Like you feel like they could be cast in marble right now. It could be like in a museum in Paris, that like pose that they're doing.
And like Colosseum as well.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. But then if you look at his face, it isn't doing a lot. Everything else about this film is compensating for Clint Eastwood's face.
Scorpio is overacting a lot in this scene.
He's a Warner Brothers cartoon. It's a Warner Brothers movie. He's like a Looney Tune.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's why the Hamburglar's overdoing it a bit. Also, I love the blood on his leg. Also, what happened to his pants? When did that get split open?
Oh, Jane's intrigued.
I should probably watch the rest of the film.
Yeah. You find out what happens to his pants in an earlier minute. So.
Oh, really? Shit! Sorry. I was just boggled by the black turtleneck.
I think the cardigan over the turtleneck really finishes the outfit. It really completes it.
I just hate to see, because Scorpio has great outfits, I just hate to see those outfits brought so low.
This isn't his finest outfit. He's worn better. The shirt with the turtleneck. And
great with a cardigan. He really is like wonderful with a cardigan.
It's just hard that he got caught in that specific difficult moment in that outfit as well. You know what I mean? Like, you never want to be caught in a shitty outfit when you're in, like, you know, peak terror mode, or, like, you get arrested or something and you go to hospital. You're like, I didn't mean to wear this, not this one.
This is how you'll be remembered forever.
Do you like Clint's eyes, Trent? That bit, I can't pause it.
the most acting he does in the entire movie.
They're his version of Roger Moore's eyebrow, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're his primary... You know, if he's pissed off, like Roger Moore's.
I love the little bit of skin that's just flaking off his cheek there.
That's impressive.
I know that, like, when they do this makeup stuff, it's just Kraft cheese that they just stick to their faces, but whoever did that work did an excellent job. You
know, it didn't even occur to me, because I don't watch that much film, it didn't occur to me that was fake. Like, he's injured.
He went tripped over before the scene.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's pretty...
Because movies are real life.
I feel like he'd be pretty invested. He'd be pretty method, right?
Yeah, he'd probably just scrape his face against the ground just to get that realistic...
Had some time with the
like,
gravel
scrape on his chin.
before.
Yeah.
Evelyn, I've got that part in the minute where I read out a nice, delicious quote, yeah?
Okay.
It's true. Kezar Stadium scene is the only point in the movie to seriously question Callahan's methods, even his sanity. By turning away from the scene of torture, Siegel, the director, challenges the audience to question Clint's methods, and even indicts them for failing to question Harry beforehand to this point. That's why the camera's symbolically, it's fog. So it's
Pulling away.
Yeah. Is that heavy-handed symbolism, Trent or Jane? the symbolism of the fog being murky. We're not quite sure of Harry.
It's murky area, murky ground.
I guess it's kind of, I find it difficult because, I mean, I was expecting some sort of torture scene with, like, you know, someone strapped to a chair and with, like, thumb screws and shit like that. And then I guess just because these days in films, I guess you see violence so much more, that just a casual, like, foot on his knee, I'm like, oh, he's all right. He'll be right. That's not torture. You're just giving him a nudge.
Well, he just shot him, so there's a bit of torture going on, actually. But
I also don't buy that that's the only moment in the film that you're directed to question his sanity and his professionalism.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There are so many moments in the film. Like, I think just a couple of minutes later, like a few minutes later, I don't know if we're talking about it, but there's, you know, this moment where he's like, well, the law is crazy. And it's like, is it, man? Like, isn't that kind of what you're all about? And like, if that's how you feel, like you sort of have this, you know, hyperactive law and order muscle in your brain, then maybe you're not the world's most professional cop. I don't know.
Also, I'm flashing back to that moment where he was being the peeping Tom in that
totally
laneway scene.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. So he's definitely stepped over the bounds of what's
Are we
ethically
selling this movie to you, Jane? Peeping
Oh,
Tom?
listen, we got peeping Toms. We got all things good. Yeah, I'll line it up.
I feel like they paint him from the start as like, and I guess it's easy to see him. It's easy to see him this way just because of everything else you've seen Clint Eastwood in, but like as the proverbial cowboy, right? Like he's the like, oh, like all you squares don't really know how the law works. I want to protect children, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, and he'll do anything. He'll do what it takes. I don't know what that voice is, by the way.
I buy it.
Thank you.
I bought it.
Well, that's the whole Dirty Harry. That's why he's Dirty Harry, because he does what it takes, and he's willing to step over the line to get the job done.
Frankly, no one in this film has any real professionalism except the DA.
Right.
The DA is like, that and the judge that they have in the room, they're like, that evidence totally isn't admissible.
They're the two most frustrating characters in it as well, really, because they're the
ones that do their job.
That's what I mean. And because they're the barrier to Harry getting shit done.
Yeah, and you're kind of, I feel like you're being positioned in the film, like it's such a smart film in so many ways, but then it also sort of positions you to hate them and be like, nah, nerds, stopping justice being done. But like literally everyone else is so bad at their job. So bad at their job, including the mayor.
Scorpio's pretty good at his job, isn't he?
Scorpio's good at his job. I don't know how you measure professionalism in a serial killer, but
Scorpio's not doing very well in the 1 minute that I've seen, so can't be that good at his job.
Yeah. Well, what about the observation that this is the moment in the movie, Jane, where Scorpio and Harry sort of become moral equivalents? There's evil personified by Scorpio, and there's rage against evil, like righteous anger by Harry. But at the end of the day, that's the same, they're just as bad as each other.
I guess so, in a sense. Well, I mean, taking this minute out of any context at all, who's the baddie in this scene? I see one guy lying on the ground saying, you tried to kill me, don't do any more, please. He had his hands up when the guy shot him. Harry shot him right in the front, and he had his hands up, All signs are pointing to Scorpio being the victim, is all I'm having to say. Team.
You're such a nerd, Jane. Justice would never be done with you in the picture.
Scorpio's my friend. I feel sorry for him. He's having a hard time. He said, please don't shoot me. And then he bloody shot him anyway. And he said, he says, oh, I need a lawyer. He's trying to remind him in that moment.
Yeah, he's reading his own rights to him. You should be saying this to me. You should be playing by the liberal small L rulebook and give me my rights. Yeah.
Listen, I'm pro it. Scorpio's getting hard done by. He's got a hard rap in this film.
Another reviewer is also comparing this to the Mount Davidson cross scene where the roles are reversed, and they were talking about how they're similar in that each of them torture each other in locations that they're dwarfed by monuments where people are supposed to be together. People are supposed to be at the cross praying, empty symbols. Here it's an empty Colosseum, the empty place of American competition. They're dwarfed by these architectural monuments, and they both torture each other in the same ways, Evelyn.
Well, you can see it. I mean, they've both got a very similar feel, don't they? Mm-hmm. In a lot of respects.
Well, it's only fair that Harry torture him after making him run around town for like an hour. Sorry.
Yeah.
I like that you've equated jogging with torture there. I guess some people would maybe dispute that. I'm not sure that jogging's sort of specified in the Geneva Convention.
He didn't have a
but
lot of time to do it, you know. He was a bit rushed and it was a bit unfair, I thought. So, you know, a girl's life was on the line.
I don't want to be too flippant about torture, Trent. In this age we've got, you know, Bolsonaro.
I'll do it. I'll be flipping about torture. You guys avoid that, and I'll just run right at it. Sorry, what were you going to say?
But for later minutes, couldn't Harry just say what torture? I mean, he's just stamping on his leg. I mean, it's like we're talking before the phone books. I didn't torture him.
Yeah.
No, but why doesn't Harry shoots him in that moment before?
With that cannon.
All right. Why doesn't he finish the job there and then? If he's so much about breaking the rules, why doesn't he break that rule there and then?
Because he needs to know where the girl is, doesn't he?
Let's be honest, that girl was dead. That girl was dead. If somebody makes you go on a wild goose chase around a city and is asking for money and they don't want to tell you where the girl is, and then right in that moment the guy is still refusing to say where the girl is, he should have just gone, all right, well, fuck you, and pop a cap in his ass. So that's all I'm thinking.
Or maybe, turns out, maybe Harry's a bit of a sook. You know?
I think you're onto something, yes.
I think we should give that feedback direct to Clint Eastwood and be like, I put it to you that
That's
your character...
been my one takeaway. Harry's a mad sook.
Well, I think we can move on. We can move on with this stadium scene, Trent. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, that shot is sensational and
It's
all being
beautiful.
covered. I just love the dissolve into the mist there.
Play Misty for me, Trent.
Oh, that's a clambering little segue, isn't it?
Well, moving on, Evelyn, to the next part.
Bloody Golden Gate Bridge.
That's right. There's some lovely bird song we hear in the background.
Which one is it?
It's Harry's theme. We hear this at the end of the movie when he quits the Little Rhodes piano again, Trent. Harry, Lalo Schifrin, who wrote the music, said he wanted the theme of Harry to be somber and sad. He said, "It's sad, but I tried to make it cool sad. It had some pathos.
Cool sads, yeah.
Cool sad, but it's not hysterical."
Which is a close relative of Cool Dad.
Was that you quoting Lalo with an Argentinian accent at the start and then you just dropped out of the Argentinian accent?
Yeah, that's what I planned.
I mean, Cool Sad is his whole vibe. Cool Sad actually perfectly encapsulates this shot that we're sort of looking at here, right? That he's like, he always like cuts this beautiful figure, and you never really understand. I don't feel like they ever really properly explain why it is that he's so damn sad, which is why it's kind of hard to invest in his sadness and actually feel that from you. Like, oh, I get that you're like broken and tragic somehow, but it's really not obvious why. Like, okay, you get like dead wife. Yeah. You get always gets.
Oh,
the
has he got
crap
a dead
job.
wife?
Oh, you did not know? He does.
Yeah, dead wife.
Oh, God, classic. That'll really send a protagonist on his quest. Oh, won't it just? Just kill a girl at the start of the film. Oh, quick. Quick, I gotta find stuff. That's how it works.
And we actually don't, like, is there any more detail than that? I'm just trying to think. Like,
It's fleshed out a little bit in sequels, but not in any great
No,
way.
not that I remember.
In the novelisation, he married a secretary. They were married for 6 months and divorced, so they've sort of changed that.
Ah.
But in this,
so in the novelization, they were kind of more going for dead inside.
Yes, that's right.
Whereas in the film, they're going for like, you know, still
Cool
waters run
sad.
deep.
cool, sad.
Still waters, yeah, cool sad.
A plot question, Evelyn. You reckon as soon as Scorpio said, "All right, she's at the Golden Gate Bridge," he just left? Do you reckon he left Scorpio there, or he put him in handcuffs? And do you reckon he fled straight out here, or?
Like, it looks like this is a few hours after Harry has caught Scorpio, because it looks like it's about dawn-ish.
Yep. Most of the movie's pitch black night or dark, so this is somewhat unusual.
This is good because I can see what's going on. Normally in dark movie scenes, I'm like squinting. It's because I'm old. But I just, yeah, it's a few hours later. I reckon they probably, because was it the fat cop Linguini was there at the stadium?
We said no fat shaming, all right?
Sorry.
Giorgio.
The
I didn't
fluffy.
say
He was
it.
just a little bit fluffy, a little bit cuddly. What's his name? Because he's like, when they were like trying to vault over the fence, and he's like, I can't, I'm full of linguine. So he's now linguine.
Was that supposed to be a gag? That was such a weird thing. It's like, is that? Oh, that's the 1971 in this film. I see what's
I
going on
just love
here.
this. I can't join you. I just ate a whole heap of pasta. So he was there, so he probably called everyone else in, and then they've arrested him. I reckon they stood there for a while torturing Scorpio's leg, and then cut to this. So I don't know though if Scorpio actually told them where the girl was. I feel like he wouldn't have, because
Maybe
then
he
that
was-
would have been an admission that would have been confessing the crime. And when he catches him in the field, he's asking for a lawyer. He's not admitting to anything. So that's why there's no evidence. If he confessed, then it would be a close-cut case, but it's not.
Jane,
Yeah.
if this was filmed today, I find it hard to believe the script wouldn't have Harry, like, literally pulling the girl out of the manhole. Do you think? Or, like, why is he removed? Why is he's not willing to... We've seen him with... In previous minute you haven't seen, there was a African-American kid that was killed and he went up there. But here he maintains his distance. Why do you think the screenwriters have made him up on the hill, not with the investigators?
Because I don't know, maybe he's like he's noble and he's out to solve the crimes, but he's not going to get his hands dirty. He's not that dramatic that he has to pull her out. So long as he finds her, so long as he gets to the bottom of things, and then he'll leave the business up to the pigs. They'll pull her out of the hole.
I wonder if it's because they make him so cool and detached, and you kind of can't like pull a dead woman or a dead girl out of a hole in the ground and not emote. Like maybe
Yeah,
he just
exactly.
didn't have the range. I don't know. No, I mean that. But then
Maybe it
also
was his choice. He was like, guys, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. It's going to require some emoting. And I'm not capable of doing that. So I'm going to stare at this bridge while you guys pull that girl out of that drain.
But also I think the character, the steeliness of the character might have been compromised by like the proximity to that kind of tragedy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it endows him with a bunch of status, definitely. Because he, is leaving it for everyone else to do, and he's the one that sorted it out, but he doesn't necessarily have to do the dirty work. But it's also in the bit where the police officer's pulling her out of the drain, I could not help but notice that like the police officers are actually having a really hard time. You notice that? And one of the police officer who's in there pulling her out, she gets dragged above his head, and it like her body knocks his hat off, and then he has to put his hat back on frantically and then go over and like tuck her in.
But like 3 of them had to get her out.
That shovel looks a bit unnecessary, that long one, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I know. What did they need a shovel for? She's in a drain.
They'd overdressed this set, frankly.
Yeah.
And why the
But
sign?
what's
Do
with
like
that guy
signs?
standing there doing nothing as well in the front with his hands behind his back? Like, mate, do something.
Oh, H&S. He's making sure no one else. He's making sure no one falls in the drain.
No other hats full
He
of.
just told that guy to bend his knees when lifting.
I also think that these days a shot like that of just like a naked female corpse being pulled out of a drain surrounded by like 10 men is also something else that you would just not necessarily see on screen today as much. Like you can't necessarily get away with like, oh, we pulled out a beautiful woman out of a hole.
I hadn't even thought about... I mean, I thought about the full frontal nature of it, but I hadn't even thought about the fact that it's 10 men, like unnecessarily, that many of them around, yeah.
I noticed that at the start when I don't know if this is speaking out of school, talking about another minute in
go
such
ahead.
detail, but
I'm furious.
At the very beginning when they, when the woman is shot in the pool, that sort of seems gratuitously sexy as well. I feel like some of the violence is in subtle ways sexualized in a way that you wouldn't get away with in 2019.
Absolutely. That was the first thing I thought when they pull her out of the drain, because it's like full frontal nudity of this woman, and she's quite clearly slim and gorgeous. It's interesting. I don't think you'd get away with that kind of thing these days.
Trent, I'm a bit of a mere male in these situations. Is it obvious that it's a teenage girl? Do you think?
Well, I don't think so. Like, I think if you came in cold like Jane did, it's not clear if she's like you know, she could be in her 20s and you wouldn't be surprised, right? If you didn't kind of have the context of knowing that she was 14. Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they are quite happy to go for gold on this front, but really, you know, the violence, like all of a sudden get coy about showing the torture scene.
Yeah.
Like it's sort of feels asymmetrical.
yeah, totally.
It's an interesting time because 1971, you know, like, I mean, in Australia, for example, the R certificate had only been around for a year, you know, and they'd only been allowed to swear and show nudity and extreme violence here. I know in, you know, the US and the UK, you know, nudity, for example, Blow Up, the Antonioni film was 1966, the first thing to show full frontal female nudity. And it was a weird time when you think about it, that they're still trying to sort of be kind of acceptable to sort of the old guard, but at the same time trying to be a bit risque. And, you know, I mean, the argument is they're pretending to be artful and shit all in the name of, you know, exploitative in the name of art. Like, I mean, I reckon 6-7 years later, possibly wouldn't have been as gratuitous because the novelty had worn off. Oh, geez, we can show naked women, shit. You know,
right.
And the novelty had kind of, you know, maybe it would have been more extreme and more violent.
This is definitely the scene that gave it its certificate, I think, Trent.
You
do think?
reckon?
I reckon, yeah.
Yeah.
So I reckon some of the violence.
With the beat up, the leg break,
I reckon that definitely would have.
Yeah. There's a few moments that really stand out. This is one of them. And yeah, seeing like the killer's misshapen face is another thing.
Thank you.
Just
Yeah.
go like, I stopped because I was actually watching it with someone, and and he was sort of dozing next to me. I like shook him awake. I'm like, wake up, look at this misshapen face. Because it was just that you don't see it all the time.
No.
And thank God.
That is, I totally forgot about that moment, and it is fucking horrific.
And hilarious.
It is pretty hilarious.
Just that shot of every penny. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just a flippant question here. As far as this minute ends where the poor Anne-Marie Deacon's being gripped by the two orderlies, if you just saw up to now, would you automatically assume she's dead, Evelyn?
Yeah, she's dead.
You tell?
Oh,
We
she
haven't
daddy
quite seen
bones.
it.
Isn't she dead? Is she not
She
dead?
is. At the end of this minute, they haven't put the blanket over. That's all. I just have to pretend we've seen up to
No,
now.
I did have a moment of hope, but she looks pretty dead.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I feel like there'd be a lot more emoting if she wasn't dead.
Yeah.
I actually think,
She looks pretty dead.
I mean, with all we've been talking about, I actually think that seeing her limp, naked body makes it even more disturbing in some respects. It is, you know, in 2019, you look at that and think, shit, you know, that's 10 men standing around. But at the same time, it's like, oh, fuck, like that's, God knows what's happened. I don't want to know what's happened there. I think if she was clothed, it'd still be disturbing. But yeah.
I don't think there's anything too gratuitous about this. It's pretty solemn.
Yeah.
I can't find it directly exploitative. I mean, it's not something they would do today, though, is it, Ange?
I don't think so. And I think even the way that they tilt it, like you've just got the way that the body's held, you have the full
Yeah.
view of it. I think, you know, there would be ways to signify it. But I mean, also, I mean, look, from a news perspective, you know, you don't, if you want to show the horror of something, you know, you maybe do a disservice to the seriousness of what it is you're conveying. You know, you risk minimizing something if you shy away from showing the full horror. So there are, you know, strong arguments in either direction, I think.
Trent, I have to be a bit flippant. It's a very solemn conversation, but this actress is Deborah Lee Scott, who plays Fackler's wife from Police Academy.
Yeah,
This
I've
young
read that.
woman.
That's interesting, isn't it? I think it's her first role.
Apparently, what we were talking about before, they planned a close-up shot of her, the actress, but it was too cold and she was shivering. She was visibly... so they had to film a long shot, apparently, for that reason.
Yeah, right.
Oh, God. I just feel so sorry for her. I just keep being like, imagine being that actress. You would be so friggin' cold and you're butt naked on set with just like 15 men standing around and they have to pull your naked corpse out of a drain. At one point, the extras, like, I looked at it and the police officer doesn't know where to put his hands. He's got like his hands on her belly and he quite clearly doesn't want to touch her on the crotch and he's like, oh, freaks out and then gets his hat knocked off.
Yeah. There we go, yeah.
They do it really awkwardly. That's the thing. They're just trying not to touch where they're not supposed to touch.
Yeah,
she's
because it
actually
looks like
alive
they're kind
for
of
a person.
displaying the body a little bit.
Which is kind of nice. They're being respectful
Yes.
as much as is possible there.
This is easily the most time I've ever spent looking at
A naked woman.
a simulated naked female corpse, I was going to say.
Sorry, Evelyn?
The more I look at it, because you've just played it back and forth, I swear to God, there's a bit where she actually moves her arm slightly, like real slightly.
Cancel the film.
This podcast is over.
Of course, Trent, the Anne-Marie Deacon, this is vaguely based on the Christ abduction where a woman was left underground in a box and I think she was rescued in time, right?
Yeah, I think so, just.
Unlike the copycat case in Germany in the 80s where some leaves clogged in the induction, she died.
God.
So it's based on the Christ abduction, which I think is what, you may remember, Evelyn, that song Clint Eastwood by Gorillaz? There's a verse that goes, I'm a peace-loving decoy ready for retaliation. I changed the whole occasion to a pine box 6 under, which I think may be a conflation of Anne-Marie Deacon. I'm a peace-loving decoy means Scorpio when he's got the peace
Can you
sign.
just do that again? Sorry.
I'm a peace-loving decoy.
Yeah. I do the rest of the show with that voice. I think is she the youngest character in this film?
No.
It's a kid at the start,
Yeah.
right?
I bet you got the kids on the school bus.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Boy, how did I forget? Oh, sorry, it's been 20 years since I watched it.
Mate, it's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix. Yeah, she actually passed away a couple of years ago. I was just thinking that a lot of these older guys are still kicking, including Clint. But, yeah, she died, I think, about 10 years ago. There you go.
That's pretty much all I've got for this minute, Jane.
I think we've really nailed this one. I think we've all figured it out, solved it. I feel like we've really solved all the issues. We've explored female exploitation in film. The Hamburglar. I'm set. I'm satisfied. I look forward to watching the rest of the film. Perhaps I won't. Who knows?
Right, well, I think I'll bring this minute to a close. Where can listeners find you, Jane? Where can they search on the Googles? And
They can find me on Instagram, and also I have a little Facebook page. Instagram, I'm Jane B. Watt, and my Facebook page is Jane Watt. I think I'm also on Twitter, but I don't use it that much, but it's Jane Watt there as well.
Talk about our web series, Jane.
Web series, yes, tell us.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ange and I have done an absurd web series where we play character versions of ourselves struggling at various endeavours.
Struggling's probably a bit generous.
And we've got one little sketch that's out, and then we've got another one coming out tomorrow, I believe, which is very exciting, and then another one will come out the following week.
The whole series is called Imposters. And it's spelt incorrectly, kind of as a nod to the nature of it, but also because there's already a TV series called Imposters spelled correctly in the US, which we found out the hard way.
So we're like, maybe we're geniuses by spelling it incorrectly. And I should run away because I have to go and get ready for this musical that I'm in currently.
Ange, will you join us for the next minute?
I will join you for the next bit. I do need to check the time, though.
Oh, yes, it is quite late. 6:49?
5:49.
5:49, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, thank God, you nearly got a fucking heart attack. Jesus Christ.
Well, Evelyn, you'll join us for the next minute?
Yes, I will.
Trent?
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, well, we'll catch you next time on Dirty
Harry Minute.
Minute.